If you're ready to take back control of your health, you're in the right place. Welcome to Awaken Wellness with me, Tanya Candee, registered nurse and health coach. Now, I'm not your typical nurse. I consider myself divorced from traditional healthcare. I broke free of the sick care system in 2019 when I realized that the root cause to my sickness, my autoimmune disease, and my chronic pain was me. If you're ready for truth, for clarity, for honesty in a tough, love, compassionate way, I'm the coach for you. Join me while we dig into our root causes of sickness and disease. All right, I better get myself here on the stage. Give me just a couple of seconds to get set up. I'm sitting out on my deck enjoying some sun and multitasking. So between the bugs, the wind, and the dog, we'll see how this goes. I've got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about today, and I'm just going to go ahead and broadcast it this way. I wanted to make some video anyway, and oddly enough, I do better when I'm live. Like, if I am just trying to record video, I get caught in that editing and the push pause and this and that and the other thing, and it just doesn't come off very authentic. So what I want to talk about today, I do have multiple platforms going, of course, because we're always going to try to multitask. I'm not going to get caught up in the comments. So if you're here and you're commenting, I super appreciate that. And maybe I'll get caught up in the comments. Who knows? We're just gonna play it by ear. I lost myself. Okay, so here we go. Let me put this phone up so I can multitask better there, and then try not to be so close. Okay, so what I want to talk about, it is my birthday this month. I turned 53 this month. So that is just always exciting. Now, in the past, I'm not really a birthday person. Like, I don't go overboard, even with friends and family. For myself, I just never have. There's all sorts of reasons for that. If you want to get into truth and traditions and, where all those party things stem from, we can talk about that at another time. But anyway, I've just never been a big birthday person. But this year, in all honesty, talking about my birthday is more of a marketing thing. Like, it totally is, because I've been on this wellness journey, really hardcore for the last 7 years. And I'm at this really cool place where I kind of forgot where I started. I kind of forgot the aches and pains. I kind of forgot what got me here. So what I'm going to do, because I use StreamYard, plugged to StreamYard, and what they will do for me is, if you are here on TikTok or Facebook or wherever you see my videos, when I use StreamYard, they will clip those. So I'm hoping that StreamYard auto clips these for me in a really neat fashion. So I want to talk about my journey, hoping that I will speak to you, that some of you guys will see yourselves in these different stages that I have gone through on my way to 53 and feeling better than I did when I was 30. So I'm going to kind of just tell my story, and I'm going to put it out there. If you follow me, you know I'm so transparent. The good, the bad, the ugly, I am here sharing it. I guess my reading glasses, I could take those off. I'm not really reading the screen at this point, and it's that far away. So again, I'm Nurse Tanya. I kind of forgot to say that. Appreciate all the likes, the follows, all the replay. I am not a full-time content creator. I run a holistic health business. I'm an RN by licensure, but I consider myself divorced from the sick care system. Now, I absolutely was not always this health minded. And that is what I'm gonna talk about today. We're kind of gonna go through how I got here. And we're gonna do it decade by decade. So I grew up in a wonderful environment, environment, supportive parents, just average Joe. We farm and ranched in a little community in South Dakota. It was really a lovely life. That unfortunately, I was an absolute spoiled brat, not by my parents' misdoing, just by how I was wired. I was one of those, as a kid, I was not an overachiever like I am now. As an adult, I don't know if I fit type A, or whatever. I don't know. But I definitely, as an adult, tend to be an overachiever. I am very, very independent. That I do believe was present as a child. I am self employed and I love that. I'm probably not a good boss. I'm definitely never been a good employee, but I'm really good at doing me. I am a control freak in the sense of more myself. I don't necessarily feel like I try to control the other people around me. My ex-husband, he really taught me that that's not possible. So I'll probably talk about that a little bit even in this video, how those relationships teach us things, right? So he taught me we cannot change other people, that we ultimately cannot control other people. So that was a very good lesson. It was a lesson that I needed to learn, a lesson that at 53, I just do me. Like, I just do me. I openly share my journey, my gray haired wisdom that the mistakes of the past have taught me, whether it is in, the 20s, those mistakes, or whether it was even the I hate to say mistakes, but the things that I've learned even as a practitioner, working with people and trying to find out what motivates them, trying to find that place where they're winning and you're not pressing so hard that they want to quit. So the place that I'm at now as a practitioner, the programs that I've designed, are experience of my clients who have been amazing and successful and healed from huge diseases, huge problems. But then there's also a lot of people who worked with me that didn't follow through, that weren't ready to take control of their health. So these are all things that I've learned, right? When my personality is that take control, being in control of my body, of my health, makes me feel good. It makes me feel proud. It brings me comfort. When the rest of the world is out of control, when there's random shootings and you don't know who to trust and you don't know what to believe, when I can do me, when I trust me, it makes all of that stuff a way less big deal, right? So that's not even the opening that I was expecting, but there's somebody here that needs to kind of understand that, right? So when somebody comes in to work with me, it's super overwhelming. I'm asking you to do a lot of things that maybe you didn't want to do, or you are really caught off guard. But when you start to realize, when you take control of your health, that your body is only a product of the environment in which you expose it to. That's like, let that sit in. Your body, my body, was only a product of the environment that I expose it to. So when I was falling apart, before I made these changes, I had to realize, we talk a lot about root health, like root health perspective. But the root to the root to the root of your health problems, of my health problems, is you. It was me. Like, I can say the root cause THFR. I can say the root cause was gluten intolerance. I can say the root cause was parasites. But really, at the way down deep, the root cause was me. So that's what I'm going to share about a little bit about how I got here at 53, feeling amazing. I've still got problems that I'm working on, but nowhere near like what I had. So like attracts like. I'm Gen X, right? So a lot of the people that I work with are Gen X, but that doesn't mean that the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, if you're smarter than I was in my 20s and 30s, and you're ready to do something different, you're ready to take control of your health and learn from me, you're awesome. Like, you're awesome. If you are willing to learn from this story that I'm going to tell you about my mistakes, if you're coachable, that's another thing about my personality type. I'm really not that coachable. So I am a health coach who flat out says I'm not very coachable. I was never into team sports. Basketball, I'm just a short little thing, but it really wasn't that I couldn't play basketball. Short people can be successful at basketball. I was just an asshole. I did not take somebody being harsh to me, like pointing their finger at me and telling me to go run laps. That just makes me want to do this. Like, I am not very coachable. I don't take criticism very well. Like, I totally know these things about me. I am very good at taking responsibility for my mistakes and being transparent about them. But, like, nobody probably likes having the finger pointed at them. My main thing is spelling and grammar. I suck. I might have a 4-year degree in nursing, but my spelling, my grammar is terrible. So, and I'm over it. Like, I accept this about myself. So, like, people, especially if you work with me and you get my emails, now that I use ChatGPT, that's a lot better. But, like, that just makes some people tick. Like, I could care less about spelling and grammar. Like, life is just way bigger than that. So how'd I get off on that? Who knows? I just talk, right? So, stressors. What stresses you out? What has stressed me out? Let's go rewind back. Again, I'll say I was not always this health minded. I made that change about 7 years ago. I'm turning 53, so you do the math. What led to that? I was looking for different answers. That'll be part of the story. Chronic pain, chronic like IBS, just terrible health conditions. And I was suffering in my body. I was suffering. At that time, I was doing a lot of horse riding and training horses and eating ibuprofen twice a day, 800 milligrams twice a day, just to get through the day. And something was going to have to change. At that time, I was still just a nurse. I was just programmed, medically mainstream programmed. So this is new to me. There's a lot of people who follow me. There's a lot of people in this space that were raised this way from children. They were raised in a holistic, more natural mindset. That was not me. I was totally mainstream programmed. So that is a lot to undo. So I really have a great relationship with my clients, and it's completely non-judgmental. I have a lot of clients that come in and they are on multiple medications. They have got complicated things going on. And I am a bridge between those things to help them sort out even their belief system. And a lot of times, like what we're talking about here, we're talking about being in control. We're talking about making changes. And there's a lot of people, just like I was, 10 years ago even, that did not realize I had a choice. I was completely clueless, right? So let's talk. All right, this little program is going to be all about me, and hopefully you find yourself in it. If you find yourself relating to me and relating to my story, I would love to work with you. I'm going to shout out right now, I've got a program. I'm running a 53% off the 12-month commitment for my birthday. You're going to find that on my website under Taste of Transformation. There's a virtual tab, and it's a 30-day taste of transformation. So I'm going to be saying that repeated times because people are jumping on, people are jumping off. If you are like, okay, this lady is speaking my language, then you are my ideal client. I can help you. I can absolutely help you feel like you're 30 again. I can help you get your energy back before again, because I've walked through this. I've got some absolute hard knocks firsthand experience walking through this. So I was not always this health minded. Like I said earlier, I just had a normal, lovely childhood where we ate junk food, and my parents drank on the weekends, and we went to church on the holidays. Like, just a really average, rural type everyday living, right? In my 20s, I got married young. I married my husband. We were, on fire, in love. I was young. I was super young. I was that person who graduated high school, started college at 17. Went to college that first year, had a ton of fun, drank a lot of beer, and got nowhere. After that, I decided to go to beauty school. And in my first 10 years, so starting, I think I was self-employed at the age of 20 as a beautician in a small town. It was awesome. I had my own little beauty shop. I set my own hours. I had 2 kids right away, back to back. They're only 10 months apart. And, I'm just 20. I'm doing life completely programmed, mainstream medical programmed. My kids were vaccinated at that time in life. I don't know about you, but like breastfeeding was like taboo there for a while. My generation, we didn't smoke either. We still partied like rock stars as teenagers, but smoking was taboo. Like, me and my friends, we didn't smoke. And then as a young mom, I didn't even consider breastfeeding, not even for a minute. I was absolutely grossed out by it. I didn't even consider it. And whether that was just, I don't know if that was the whole United States, or if that was just the pocket that I lived in, or the people that I hung out with. I didn't hang out with people that breastfed. All the people that I knew were bottles, like that. I don't know when that really changed. Honestly, I've never looked up the stats. That would be interesting. So anyway, I my kids were vaccinated. I didn't even question it. I know that seems crazy from where I'm at now. Now I'm a complete anti-vaxxer. Like, if I had to make the choice, and I support my clients, I always support the choice. I don't browbeat anybody who chooses to do such things. But if you give me the choice, I'm going to say no thank you, right? So, all part of my story. So I can relate to everybody. I can relate to wherever you're at in this journey. I absolutely can. My 2 kids were only 10 months apart. So I was pregnant for 2 years, basically. And I sucked at being pregnant. I was sick as a dog the whole pregnancy. I knew nothing about mitochondrial dysfunction. Now, knowing that morning sickness, a lot of times, if you can get that mitochondrial function up, that morning sickness is a lot better. So, all these things I was completely oblivious to. I got to look at my notes. So then I was a hairdresser. I did that for 10 years. So all the chemicals, all of the exposure, alcohol was definitely part of my life, especially when the divorce was coming. My first husband, he is a really, really nice guy. He was just a meth head. And I didn't know that these things didn't magically go away, that people didn't just magically grow up, right? So he taught me a lot. He taught me that you cannot change people. You cannot love them out of these situations and out of these addictions. So we were together for 8 years and then the divorce came. I tend to be a little seasonal affective disorder type of person. So any major decision I make is usually in the spring. Like I'm thinking about it when that spring comes, May comes, that's when change has to happen. So I do remember that saying it out loud, telling him he had to go. And it, we've always had a great relationship. He's always got to be the kids' dad, and that he's a great guy. He was just not a good partner, but he taught me so much. I don't regret any of that. Taught me so much. The theme here is how I ended up full of autoimmune disease and sick. So the theme is American Standard Diet will kill you, and stress will kill you, or they will certainly try if you don't do your damnedest to intervene. So, if you are listening to me and you're in your 20s and you're in that run and gun stress, do whatever you can to figure out how to manage that stress, how to refrain from living that way. You can do it. It's unnatural. And we tend to think that the people who are just chill and casual and laid back and who are content with whatever job they're at, they're lazy. They're not lazy, they're smart. And more than likely, they're going to be healthier in the long run. So, myself, somewhere along the line, I was a lazy piece of shit teenager. Like, terrible. I can't believe that my parents put up with me. I was terrible. Like, I didn't even wash the dishes or anything, just a brat. Somewhere along the line, I flipped the switch. Must have been about 18, 19 years old, and got my beautician and went on to be self-employed and made a super good living. And I loved being self-employed. I'm self-employed now. I still love it. Like I said earlier, I'm a really shitty employee and I'm probably a shitty boss, but I'm really good at doing me when it comes to anything. Like, I don't want to worry about you. I just want to worry about me. At the end of the day, one day when I meet Jesus, my judgment, it's all about me, right? So all of these things, it's all about you. And you have to take that accountability. You have to take that responsibility. Right now, I'm talking to you, individuals in your 20s who are doing all the things. At that stage in life, you probably still are a little bit more selfish if you haven't started a family. Your extra money you're spending on your eyelashes and your fingernails, and you are climbing the ladder, and your car payment is your priority, and those kind of things. So I'm reaching out to you. I'm saying don't forget, even then, even when you're 20, to invest in your health, to make organic choices, to stay on a good methylated multivitamin, to prioritize bedtime, to prioritize sleep, to prioritize clean water and getting the sugar out of your life. So even at 20, this is a great place to start that foundation. If you've got littles and you are awakened to wellness, that is why I named my business, because I had a huge awakening. If you're already awake, then I'm here for you 20-year-olds to support you so you can stay in a place of being balanced and not being in fear. When we're awakened and we know how many toxins are in tap water, and we know about chemtrails, and we know about GMO food, that can feel really scary, and you can feel really alone, especially if your parents aren't that way and your siblings aren't that way and you don't have friends that are that way. So if you are that age, my 53-year-old gray-haired wisdom, I feel like I'm a protector and I'm here to support you. My 20-year-old experience, oh my goodness. And I am that hard knocks, hard headed. If somebody would have told me, if the 53-year-old me could time travel and talk to the 20-year-old me, the 20-year-old me would have still said, that lady's crazy. Like that 20-year-old me is so independent and so stubborn. And I wouldn't have listened. I would have had to have walked out my journey the hard way, no matter what 53-year-old me went back and said. So if that's you, I get it. If, we all can only do things at the stage that we're ready, at the stage that the Holy Spirit calls us to this awakening. But if you were lucky enough to been raised by a smarter mom than me, I just consider it a blessing every day that that my kids were not vaccine injured, that I didn't completely screw them up, right? So, oh gosh. And I mean, what a stressor. What a stressor. So, that's a blessing. If you're there, if you're doing comments, I hear my computer making noise. So maybe somebody's commenting. Sorry, I'm just going to keep talking. I'm just going to keep rattling. Now I lost my camera. Where am I? All right, here I am. I'm going to keep rattling. Okay, so that was my 20s. In my later 20s, when I found out I could not control or change my meth addicted husband, I went through kind of a rebellious phase. My kids were young, but I was like, okay, you're just going to take them on the weekends and I'm going to go party like a rock star. And I found a couple of girlfriends that really liked to drink and we just did whatever we wanted for a couple of years. That was not good for my stomach or my liver at all. That's maybe, now that I think of it, I hadn't really thought of it before. Maybe that was the root cause of my hiatal hernia or my gallbladder dysfunction. All of it together, right? You just heard about these stress, being self-employed, having 2 kids 10 months apart, and a meth head husband who didn't help. So there's that. The next phase of my life was pretty amazing. I got radically born again, on fire for God, saved. And I should remember that date and time. I really should, but I don't. I do know that I had already crossed that divorce bridge at that time. And then all the drinking quits. That was a major change. Of course, I wouldn't be here today had that not have taken place. So there was that huge intervention. At that time, then I decided to go back to school to be a nurse. So my kids and I moved to a town about 2 hours away so I could go to college. That would have been in my 30s. So now in my 30s, those driven 30s, like that's a thing. And even in my 50s, I am scaling like I'm in my 30s with my business. I feel better at 50 than I think I did when I was 30. I've got the energy, I've got the drive, I've got this vision of what I want this to play out as my business, my awakened wellness. So this is me speaking to your Gen Xers. Like, you Gen Xers, we all have so much in common. We just really do. So if you're still driven like I am, and you've got these business goals and these things that you still want to do, but you don't still physically feel like you're 30, we need to talk. Like, I can help you. Anybody can go through this simple foundational process and restore those things. So my 30s were interesting. I was in nursing school, so I walked into this completely unstable place. Like, school was never easy for me. I was totally labeled the slow kid. Not necessarily dyslexic, but really ADD. I was never diagnosed, but I would, you could read the whole chapter, history or whatever it was, spend the time reading it, get to the end of the chapter with the questions, and have no idea what I just spent an hour reading. So always really had that spun out, kind of ADD brain. So when I went to nursing school, and that was after the whole salvation thing, and I really felt called and anointed to do it. Also, age of development and my reason for being there was different. So I did succeed. College treated me very well. I found success there. I graduated with honors. That was all very, very divinely appointed. So back, though, to stress being the theme. Going to school full time, working on the side, having 2 kids, being by myself in a town, trying to figure out all that. I don't do anxiety. Like, I don't really understand anxiety. But when I look back on it, I would be driving home. It would usually hit me on the way home. In the town that we lived on, there was an underpass. And on the way home, now that I know, I didn't know then that was kind of a panic attack. And I would never claim to have panic attacks, but I would have that driving home. I'd be like, oh my God, what day is it? What time is it? Did I forget my kids somewhere? And then I would wake up in the middle of the night, almost every night, like sitting straight up in bed going, okay, what day is it? What do I have to do tomorrow? Do I have a ride for my kids? Is that, and just never fully relaxing or never really fully sleeping because of that schedule. Do I have a test? Did I miss a deadline? Do I have to get up in the morning for clinicals? Like it was a lot. It was a lot. During that time, my health, I thought I was fine. And even if you look in my medical records, you will not find anything wrong with me because I didn't go to a doctor and complain. Rarely. I always had like some IBS symptoms, like the diarrhea, the constipation, and heartburn. Always had heartburn. I do remember I had a gallbladder attack, I think in my early 30s. Did the tests, kept the gallbladder, but was never educated on how to fix it or what the root cause of the problem was or anything like that. I absolutely ran on Diet Coke and stress. I probably drank a 6-pack of Diet Coke a day for the majority of my adult life. And then wondered why I had heartburn. There was a time that I did connect the two. There was a time that must have been in my 30s. And being a nurse, I knew what a GI bleed smelled like. And I tended to be anemic. This is a great part of my story. I ate ice. I can't think of the fancy name for that right now. But because of the anemia, I would buy a bag of ice, like go to the grocery store or the gas station and buy a bag of ice, like a big bag of ice. And I would chew through that, literally chew that bag of ice in 2 days. And that was because of the anemia. That is it, pyrexia? I can't remember the fancy name for that makes you want to chew ice. So that was in my 30s. Then I had where I worked, I had to go up a flight of stairs. And I had probably a couple weeks before that, I had a bowel movement that, because I'm a nurse, I knew had blood in it. I knew by the sight and I knew by the smell. Like the smell of digested blood. When you know what that is, it just is a smell that is undeniable of what it is. So I did know that, and it only had happened once. So I wasn't too worried about it. I just kept working. I kept going. I just kept momming and working. In those years, I didn't date. I didn't do anything else I raised 2 kids, I worked full time, and I always had a side hustle as well. So, we did well. I had a nice car, I bought a house, with no help from the, meth head ex-husband, right? So, pedal to the gas, go, go, go. So I had known that I had passed some blood. I did know that. And like I said, it didn't happen again, so I didn't overly freak out about it. At that time, I was also having a lot of back pain, had some sciatica and those ugly things. So a lot of pain, and I took a lot of ibuprofen pretty much every day. So even as a nurse, I know these things, right? They cause micro bleeds, right? They make things worse. I ate normal, sad, standard American diet. Coffee, I probably drank coffee, not like I do now. I would rather drink a Diet Coke in the morning back then than coffee, like an ice cold Diet Coke that kind of hurts when it goes down. And then I was going up on the weekend, going up this flight of stairs at work, and I was like, holy smokes. These stairs, like, I am out of shape. This is stupid. I have got to get my act together. And then I was probably about the same weight that I am now. Like, I've kind of lost and gained the same 20 pounds multiple times. Never get really fat, but I never get really skinny. But anyway, I was like, wow, I am really out of breath. And then I was like, I worked at the jail, and I was the director of nursing there. And our jail doctor, I'm like, I'm gonna have to go see Dr. Wolf, I think, probably in the clinic next week. So I go in and get my blood work done, and my hemoglobin is 7, below 7, and that's the transfusion point. So Dr. Wolf is like, well, you are going inpatient, and at a minimum, you're getting a transfusion, and then you're gonna get NG tube down your nose, and then this and that and the other thing. So I absolutely was not a very good patient, and getting an NG tube down your nose is as bad as it seems. Like having to do that to people as a nurse, it was just never my comfort zone. Putting people in pain, like, never my comfort zone. So, and then as this on fire born again Christian, having to receive somebody else's blood was really out of my comfort zone. That had me totally freaked out, but I laid hands on it and prayed and broke curses off of it and everything else. And I did do the transfusion. Ended up going to a different town, having all the testing done, and all they did was say you have gastritis. They didn't find anything major. I did the colonoscopy, I did the EGD. They didn't find anything major. Gastritis means microscopic bleeding, so just constant irritation. Now, in the medical realm, when you have heartburn or problems like this, then they say you have too much stomach acid. I know now, as a functional practitioner, that is bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. Your body was designed to require stomach acid. It was not designed to be suppressed. Your stomach acid, how I always explain it to people, is like skin. So when you are on a proton pump inhibitor, or when you take away your stomach acid, it is like walking around with an open wound, like an open sore. So all the germs, all the bacteria come in, the parasites come in. I do believe that is a large part of how I got to be so full of parasites. The other way we get to be full of parasites is by what we eat. Parasites love processed food, they love alcohol, and they love sugar. So if we're eating like that, we're feeding them. They don't like healthy food. So you eat alkaline, you eat healthy, and then you're not a place that they want to live. So we can do parasite cleansing all day long. We can do it for the rest of their life, but we have to address our terrain. We have to become a place they don't want to live. So this is me in my 30s telling you about how I was not always this health minded. I was not always awakened to wellness. I was your no average, overworked, overstressed single mom who lived on Diet Coke, stress, and sugar and the normal standard diet. So after this gastritis, after this being in the hospital, I had been using Prilosec, over the counter heartburn medication. Now, what was recommended to me was to bump it up to Protonix, which is even stronger. For a while, it was twice a day, suppressing that stomach acid. And I cannot believe that I still have my gallbladder after all of that. Suppressing your stomach acid will jack up your bile and your liver and your gallbladder. Boom, like that. It is an absolute act of God that I still have my gallbladder. After all this, it still is requiring a lot of help. When I started doing the parasite cleanse, the amount of stones that came out of me when I started opening up my liver with advanced TEDCA, oh my word. And I got kicked off of YouTube. I had poop videos like no other, but they were all stored on YouTube. And I lost my YouTube account. So I lost all my good educational poop videos. How depressing is that? I'm never going back to that place in my life to redo all of that, to have evidence of this. But when I was doing my liver work, when I first started getting into that, the advanced TEDCA from Cellcore is like no other product out there. I would have these bowel movements that looked like, like what soggy grape nuts look like. They're those just little round, soggy, whatever. I would have these bowel movements that looked like I took a big bowl of grape nuts in milk that had been sitting on the counter for 3 hours and then dumped it out, just full of stones. Gallstones are not a gallbladder problem. They're a liver problem. They're a bile problem. So, oh my goodness. And then going through that on my right side, my liver felt lighter. You know how, like, if you lost weight, maybe you lost 20 pounds or 30 pounds, but you don't feel lighter, like your body doesn't feel any different. Back then, when I went through that phase of healing, I didn't lose any weight, but I felt 20 pounds lighter. It's super hard to explain if you haven't ever been through it. That's step 3 in my Great Health Reset program, getting that deep liver work. It's so worth it. It's amazing. Amazing phase, that step 3. Bugs. All right. Where was I? 30s. Driven 30s. Stress. Of course, nobody knows how much trouble they're in, right? I don't technically have a diagnosis of autoimmune disease in like my medical record, because I even through all of this, like I had to be and nurses are the worst patients ever. We just don't go to the doctor, right? So, you about have to be on your deathbed, right? So I go and they technically can't find anything wrong with me, even after all of that. And the answer is reduced stomach acid. And in review, that is bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. And an enter GI specialist, whatever, I would debate them, but it would just be a debate. I will never convince them that what they've been programmed to believe isn't true. But we know that's not true. And then food allergies. So if you're having all this heartburn, I do have a hiatal hernia, and even I just now got it back into remission. It was flared up so bad for like 4 months straight. Dairy will flare it up, but now I know that I've got a really sensitive system. I do have my genetics are not in my favor at all, but this sensitive system and the food allergies. So when you have heartburn all the time, there is a reason for it. Like your body is trying to burn with acid something. It's trying to fix something. There's either a food protein that your immune system that is bad, that shouldn't be there. There is sometimes it is vagus nerve issues, like when you're overstressed. Stress itself shuts down that stomach acid production, and then your body, then you go eat something and it's empty, there's no acid there, so your body's trying to trigger that's trying to get it going. You have to have stomach acid to digest protein. Like we have to have stomach acid. So these proton pump inhibitors, they are wrecking people. They're absolutely wrecking people. And I think I was on one for at least 10 years, if not 15. So again, then how does a person become full of parasites? When you take away the stomach acid, these things grow in your body, right? And it's not the things that you can see that you have to worry about. It's the microscopic things that you can't see that are a normal part of everyday life that should be fine when you have stomach acid to kill it. When you don't have stomach acid to kill that, your first line of defense, then bad shit happens in your body. Even like SIBO, small your overgrowth in your small intestine, that happens when there's not enough stomach acid to keep that bacteria in the large intestine where it's supposed to be, right? So yeah, a lot of rattling here. I'm just gonna keep on rattling. Third, my my 30s, that was the theme, was heartburn and stress. I did somehow beat that Diet Coke habit. I knew that it was killing me. And then I had all this back pain, so I was taking ibuprofen. There was just no good answer. I did not realize, now I know, that lower back pain was my inflamed gut actually leaking on my spinal cord. I definitely believe that spinal deterioration is gut inflammation. That is that inflammation sitting on your spinal cord, right? Like, did anybody ever think of that? When somebody's got chronic back pain, their gut is inflamed. It is an inflammation issue. So it was absolutely my faith that got me off that Diet Coke addiction. I'm going to tell you a little story about that. Good grief. I've already been talking an hour. I'm going to tell you a very cool spiritual experience about that Diet Coke. So I was fasting. I would do a Diet Coke free fast for 40 days. And I was never a drug user. I was never addicted to alcohol. Sugar and Diet Coke were my addictions, and stress, maybe work. I have a work addiction, a workaholic addiction. I was fasting from Diet Coke for 40 days. And that was before I was a jail nurse, though. So now when I think about it, I went back to it, because when I did that fast, I was substitute teaching at the beauty college and was out of town. So that was before I became a nurse. So I didn't stay off of it. Now that I think of it, I went through all of that and I did not stay off of that Diet Coke. But anyway, that's terrible, right? Those habits are terrible. I was fasting from that, and I had went to a restaurant and was eating a sandwich or something. And when I really wanted a Diet Coke, like those fountain Diet Cokes, oh man, those would get me. Like sometimes I just wanted a fountain Diet Coke. So I'm at this restaurant getting a sandwich that would have tasted really good with a Diet Coke. And I would have swore that I heard an audible voice telling me, "Oh, you've been doing really good. You deserve a Diet Coke." And now I'm still really spiritual, and at that time I was really really spiritual. And I went in the bathroom at that restaurant and looked myself in the mirror. I don't know if you've ever done that. Looked through your eyes and seen that ugly demonic creature that is talking back to you. So I believe in deliverance for sure. And just like the Bible says, sometimes these things only come out with prayer and fasting. And so I went in the bathroom and looked myself in the eye and said, Satan, get beneath my feet. I am not drinking this Diet Coke. When I think about it, though, I did that 40-day fast and I obviously went back to it. Isn't that funny how our memories and that timeline can be really hard to sort through? Because I know while I was working at the jail, I was back on Diet Coke. So after the whole hospital incident and having a blood transfusion, I feel like maybe that's when I finally got off of this stuff. And I can drink one now. I don't like to. I know there's nothing good in it, the aspartame or whatever, but if I go out and eat a taco or something and drink a Diet Coke or Diet Pop, it doesn't trigger me. Now I think it's just gross, but that was a big deal for me. So again, not that I've never had like some hardcore addiction to pot or meth or anything else. Just Diet Coke, sugar, and stress. Like totally addicted to stress. Um, so I don't know. I get it. I feel like this makes me relatable. I got to get off the Diet Coke story, but like it is just a thing, or Diet Pepsi or Mountain Dew or or whatever it is. It's not good for you. It wasn't good for me, and I guarantee it's not good for you. All right, I made a couple of notes. So 30s, that was the main thing. Work, stress, the GI stuff. GI trauma. Oh, and I did late 30s, may have been almost 40. I ended up having a hysterectomy. And then, having known now what I know then, I probably wouldn't have done that for sure. Again, back then, I was not awakened to anything. I was even more programmed because I'd been through nursing school than I was in my 20s when my kids were little. So I was even more programmed. And I knew, how to use over the counter medications to what I thought was my benefit or other people's benefit. I was really having heavy bleeding and I was anemic. I had said that earlier. At the same time with this stomach stuff, I was really heavy bleeding during my cycles and eating all that ice. So my hemoglobin was low. Between that and just being done with those parts, I didn't see anything wrong with having a hysterectomy. I kept the ovaries for whatever reason, had the hysterectomy, and really being relieved of all that bleeding was not a bad thing outside of the scar tissue, and that kind of thing. And now not knowing where I'm at in the menopause, like I have no idea what's going on with my hormones because you don't have that cycle to alert you to it. But I did go ahead and have that done. Can't say that I really regret that one. That was not fun. Like if you're in that perimenopause and you're just going, quit it, Tex. You're just going all haywire. Your cycles are heavy. You're bleeding through everything like you're going to die. From a functional standpoint, there is a lot we can do for that. Even just my core detox, that 120-day program, can clean up a lot of that hormone dysregulation. When we work on your liver, when we work on your toxins, that estrogen dominance, those estrogen problems, we got to work on the bile. We got to get that dirty estrogen out. We've got to get you methylating that estrogen better. So, there's now that I say that out loud, there's so much that we can do when we just work on that foundation. A lot of times those other problems really fix themselves. And that is a miracle when that happens. A lot of them will fix themselves. Okay, so let me go back to this timeline. If you just jumped on, it's Nurse Tanya. I am turning 53 this month. So I am reviewing my history, my mess of a life. And I'm celebrating being in control of my health. I'm celebrating the place that I'm at in health right now. I am not where I want to be, but thank God I am not where I used to be. All right, so we go into 40s. The 40s were good, like really good. 40s, I moved to Montana, where I'm at right now. I got remarried to my husband, who is just an amazing, laid back, chilled, support me to an amazing guy. I went through this time, and this is a big part of my story, because the mental part of it is so tied into the physical part. So I had when I moved here to where I'm at now, I really didn't want to be a nurse anymore. I was kind of really pissed off at the system. Um, I loved my jail job because it wasn't a normal nurse job. And they didn't, I had that up, and they didn't really have a replacement for that here. So I went back to working in the hospital and the clinics for a while. And it was part of my awakening. It was bringing all of that on. It was bringing that awakening on. I had a really shitty thing happen that I was totally in control of, but oblivious. I was so oblivious. I would now consider myself vaccine damaged. Um, and just because I was being lazy and I did not know any better. So, like, as a nurse, that was part of the job. I could care less, take it or leave it. I really didn't have any opinion about it. If it was ordered and we gave flu shots or other shots, it was just part of the job. I'm not a salesman. I wasn't there to talk anybody into anything or talk them out. I really didn't care. Like, I could have been, I couldn't have been more flat about the whole thing. But I was lazy. When I switched jobs, and this new hospital wanted my vaccine records, and in the process of moving, I just couldn't find them. I couldn't come up with them. And I said, just give me whatever you need to give me again, like, in order to get working. And I needed to get things moving. And like a TB test, oh man, I can't do those anymore. I really swell up with those. But whatever, I don't even know what they gave me to work at the hospital. That I was so oblivious. Like, just get it over with so I can get to work and get this stressful thing off of my plate. So I do believe that my autoimmune disease really cropped up there again. Now, again, I know that the autoimmune disease is there because of the functional labs that I've done, not because it's in my medical record, not because I took the time to do anything about it. I knew that if I went through all the testing and sat through all the appointments, they would definitely, more than likely, come up with a fibromyalgia diagnosis, which is complete bullshit, right? It's just because they can't find anything else wrong with you. I had all the pain points, like on my chest and my hips, and I was just in a lot of pain. And then that on top of, I don't know, just being not liking working in the medical field. I I loved my new life. I loved my new marriage, blended family, becoming a stepmother of 4 kids. That was challenging, so little stress there. Moving to the country, I ended up falling in love with horses. This was a time in my life, there was about 7 years in here, this transition, where I did keep working as a nurse because it was the best job I could have. It was not fulfilling. I did not enjoy it, but it did pay me. And I had bought that education. So I just am like, well, I'm just going to keep doing this job. And to my surprise, I ended up loving horses and loving living in the country. I grew up on a farm and ranch, but I did not love it then. I did not understand it. My time training horses saved my soul in a time when I was so mad. I don't even know what I was mad at. But I think it was that coming awakening. I was becoming so mad at the system. I was becoming mad at how we charted, mad that when I was at the hospital, I couldn't even have 15 minutes to have a meaningful conversation with somebody because there was lights going off and charting to do, and it just was gross. I hated the way that all of that felt. So working with horses, like I say, saved my soul. It taught me so much appreciation even of the creator, and it just brought out something amazing in myself. It was all parts of this divine awakening. um the horses, I spent all my extra money, all my extra time, um just learning. At the time, I worked a couple of really boring jobs as a nurse, that I had a lot of time to watch horse training videos. So yeah, I'm an all in person. So I was all in on the horse stuff. I went from having no horses and no tack to giving lessons and putting on clinics, and like, just I'm all in no matter what. And that was my 40s, still in pain. I had gotten off of Diet Coke, I had gotten off of proton pump inhibitors, still had so much crazy gut stuff, especially if I ate something fried, and the gallbladder dysfunction, still in so much back pain, lower back. I had also herniated discs in my neck. That didn't bother me as bad as my back, especially with the horse and the riding and all of that stuff. So much pain. Um, Part of this major awakening was that back pain. And I had a consult with a surgeon and was looking at having back surgery. And then, for whatever, a bolt of lightning from heaven above hit me. And I learned about PEMF therapy. So it's pulsed electromagnetic field. And I had never even tried it before. I had never even went to somebody and experienced it, but my intuition said I needed it. So I bought this like $18,000 system and started using it on myself and on horses, and kind of sharing it with other people so I could make the payments on this stupid machine. And then that led me to more knowledge. That led me to like mitochondrial function and the knowledge about glutathione and your immune system. And at that time, I was partnered with a company called LifeVantage, and I learned more. And then other doors would open, and I was starting to learn more about even just sugar and carbs, and going more keto and getting your inflammation under control. And pretty soon, my back pain was manageable. It was starting to heal. It was at a place where I didn't feel like I needed back surgery anymore. So that was amazing. And then the next part of my story, my health. I didn't think that I was unhealthy then. Still, I thought I had made some improvements because the heartburn had subsided. But I was still taking a lot of ibuprofen to get through the day, an occasional Flexerol if I was really locked up. Then, as things progressed, it was actually my daughter-in-law who became pregnant, and she decided, she had told me, we're not going to vaccinate. So there too, at that point, I had never even thought twice about it. Really, I hadn't had the situation where I had to make a decision. Well, outside of flu shots at work, I refused to do that, just because, I don't know, I just thought they were stupid. Um, and but my guardian came out, my protector came out when she said this was the decision they were going to make. I was like, oh my goodness, okay, all right, well, I'm going to help you, I'm going to support you. I'm like, because instantly in my mind, I went back to the memories of what they say in the clinic and in the hospital, in the break room. Even the nicest, cutest nurses say really ugly things about people who don't vaccinate. and they bully people, and they make parents feel terrible, and they say terrible things about them. So that was my first. I wasn't going to talk her into anything or out of anything. I was just going to get educated and be there to support her. You know, I was like, I'll go to your appointments with you if you have to, because you are going to get bullied. Like, this ain't going to be easy. So it was my need to protect her and then my unborn grandchild that really ushered in the awakening. Because of that, I went to a conference to get more education. I heard a speaker there from the Wellness Way, Dr. Flynn, who was making so much sense about hormones and root causes. And I was like, I knew right there that that was the train I was getting on. That changed my trajectory in an instant, in an afternoon. In an instant, in that afternoon, I was all of a sudden done training horses. That lingered. It didn't like completely just peel away. Got to do the TikTok thing. Hold on. It didn't instantly just peel away, that desire, you know, to be in love with horses. I still had that, but this awakening just happened in an afternoon. That was when I walked into my divine appointment. My divine appointment as a protector, as a healer. Now, way back when, in my spiritual awakening in my late 20s, early 30s, I walked through a lot of crazy healing testimonies and deliverances, and Yahweh used me in big and mighty ways. All of that had been very quiet. This awakening is, as my healing gifting is much different than that was. This is much more practical. This is much more strategy, but yet it's still very prayerful. It's just something I don't really talk about. I don't really speak about that. But anyway, this guy was making sense, and I was right there. Ever since then, all my extra time, all my extra money now went into my awakening and my awakened wellness business. The horses, they just went back to being a nice pasture hobby. And now, I mean, now I'm just really not riding, but they will come back. I know that in my next season. My husband and I have goals. So I needed to feel this good because we still want to live somewhere warmer in our 60s. And then I will go back to those horses when we're in Texas or Arizona or Florida or wherever we land, and I can go do some competitive cattle sorting and all that. So it'll come back. It'll come back. For the time being, all my extra time, all my extra energy is here, helping you see what I see, helping you heal through these steps that I have healed through. And it has been amazing. I'm still at like this little complicated place. After even doing all the work, the parasite cleansing, the detoxing, now this phase of this journey, I've brought in GLP-1s, which surprised me. If you would have told me 5 months ago that I was going to bring in GLP-1s into my own journey and also be recommending them, I wouldn't have believed it. 5 months ago, even, I wouldn't have believed it. So again, I'm always seeking education. I'm always open-minded, and we have to bridge these things. I never want to be so rigid that I would refuse to use a medication when it was needed. I'm always going to be a supportive bridge for my journey and for your journey as well. I will never shame you for your choices. I will just try to help you whatever phase of this journey you're on. Because, like, if you've been listening to me or if you're on the replay, we all have a very complicated journey of where we get to and where we're going. And I don't know what phase of the journey that we will connect in. I absolutely do advertise, I do marketing, but I believe whoever lands with me was called to walk with me for a season, or I am called to walk with them for a season, however that looks. And it's so individual, and like priceless. I definitely feel like I'm called to help people balance their mental game. And when you become awakened to all of this ugly stuff in our world and this chess game that the powers that be are playing, when you know that you're in the matrix, it can be really scary and it can feel really alone. So the Yahweh has given me a very balanced head. Even my spiritual experiences, I've seen glimpses into the spirit realm. I've seen real manifesting miracles take place. Yet I stay in balance. I get it from my dad, I think, but it's difficult. It's difficult. Being awake is not easy, and it's not for the weak of heart. So we do need community. We need a place that we can be awake together. So all of that to say, 53 is amazing. Whatever comes in my future, I am nowhere near perfect. Um, Even knowing everything that I know, I do my damnedest to stay away from gluten and dairy and everything that's on my food allergy list. But I have grace with myself. And I have my body in a place that, and I don't have celiac, so that's a completely different issue, right? Gluten is not a deadly trigger for me. There's a difference, and I understand that. So I don't mean to take that lightly. I feel blessed that I can go out to eat, and if I get gluten, I probably don't even know, right? Where people who have celiac, they know, and it takes them days and days to recover. So I don't mean to I don't mean to talk light about that. What I just mean is that um some days I hope that publicly people don't just think I'm a hypocrite, because I'm not perfect. I do my best to walk out what I talk, but I am so human, and I just want to stand before you humble and here to be part of your team. I'm here to be a coach, just a coach. I can't make up your mind for you. I can't tell you what to do. I'm just here to be your tour guide. Apparently, I have company. Tex, come here. Tex, come here. You stay right here. Dogs. Sorry about that. They just don't like UPS man. Stay. So I am I am finished here. We'll end on the bark. Tex. Hi. You can just leave it there. I'm sitting right here for you. All right. Thank you. Yep, you too. Sorry about that. I will end on that note. And I am maybe I'll edit that out. Maybe I just don't have the time, or I don't care enough. But all of that to invite you to celebrate my birthday. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll be seeing some coupons, in-store offers. If you are wanting to hook up with me, even locally, I'm still inviting you to do the taste transformation and join our online community, where we get together every Sunday evening in a group coaching session. So we learn together. I always say it's like college. Everybody pays the same tuition, but not everybody gets the same education. In that program, there are online learning modules, videos that I've made for you that also have print format. If you don't want to watch me, you don't have to. You can just read them. So there's a lot of self-paced, do your own work, right? And that's where it's like college. You can show up for every class, you can take notes, you can get the most out of it, or you can just show up on test day, or you can pay your tuition and not show up at all. These are things that I cannot do for you, that you have to choose to do for yourself. That program is all about the foundation. You start with a 30-day mitochondrial work, and then you decide if you are ready to go deeper into the cellular level detox and parasite cleanse, which you don't have to do. You can back out at any time. Only you know when you're ready. And it is like a light switch. You have to be at a point that you are ready to flip the switch and take control, or it won't work. It just won't work. And it won't be my fault that it doesn't work, because I know the system absolutely works when you make it work, when you do the work. Everyone has a place and a chance to succeed here, but it is big. It is big changes. It's big lifestyle changes. Just like me in my 20s and my 30s, completely oblivious that the standard American diet was killing me. Completely oblivious that being on a proton pump inhibitor for 10 years will get you full of parasites. Completely oblivious when my children were little and I took them for well child checks. I was completely oblivious. I was not always the person that I am today. I was not always the 3-letter agency rebellion, whatever. I don't even know how you say it. But at 53, I've lived through some stuff, and I can absolutely help you get through your stuff. I can help you get your energy back. I can help you balance your hormones. I can help you reset your foundation so the rest of the years going forward, you stand a chance against tap water and chemtrails and GMO food. Doesn't that sound great? We all need extra tools in our toolbox. Thank you so much. Please like, share, comment, all of those good things. And I will see you in the Total Transformation. That program I call the Great Health Reset. Yes, absolutely, pun intended. So I'll see you there in next group coaching. You can follow me on Facebook for sure. YouTube, I got kicked off. I'm working on reestablishing some of that YouTube, but I'm just not sure it's worth it. I got kicked off there for talking about black salve. We use Native American ointment to heal skin, CANCER, and YouTube just kicked me off. Like 5 years worth of video, really cool video too, I'll say. They kicked me off. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you on social media. Stop at my door. I'm pretty easy to find. My business address is on Google.